Real Talk Boxing back at you again. We out here in the lab putting in work, out here sweating. If you didn't know, now you know. So check this out. I had someone who I was going back and forth with comments on Deontay Wilder's opponents and Mike Tyson's opponents, right? I had someone on YouTube saying that Deontay Wilder's opponents had better records, and he said the numbers are proven. He or she, I don't know. They say the numbers are proven, just do my math, and that his opponents were not only bigger, but taller. Okay? So, and I said who? Who? And then they stated, well, they pretty much stated the same thing that they stated in the first comment. You know, and I asked who with respect. And they said, you know, basically the same thing in the last comment, like I stated before, you know, being a little snooty. So I was like, okay, I'll make a video about it. And I'm going to give you guys my take on it. And this video is geared towards people who's actually strapped up, who's actually competed. It doesn't have to necessarily be professional. It could be amateur. But as long as you've strapped up before and you know boxing on a factual standpoint and not just by visual, this is who I'm talking to. Okay? So I commented back and I said, hey, you know, size doesn't always matter. Now, what do you take when I say that size doesn't always matter? That means sometimes it doesn't matter. Okay? From a fighter standpoint, they understand that. They understand that it takes more than size to be good and successful at winning a boxing match, right? A lot of it starts here and here, okay? It's who has a better ring IQ, who has heart, who's willing to go the extra mile. It doesn't always have to do with size, right? But I think they took it as size never matters, and it does in some cases. So I'm going to give you a factual story that happened to me before. And if you don't believe it, that's your business. When I was 23 years old, I weighed roughly around, I'll say 195 to 200 pounds. I was in great shape. And there was a guy, and I had been boxing for about 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. And there was a guy who was about 310, 315. 6'2", might I add you. Super heavyweight. He had only been fighting for like 4 or 5 months. Training. He had never had a sanctioned bout, professional or amateur, right? So one day he needed some work. Nobody else was there close to his size. I was there. Didn't plan on sparring that day. I just wanted to get some bag work and some rope work. A little shadow boxing, but he needed work. So one of the coaches was like, yo, Brian, you willing to get in with this guy? He just needs a little work. You know what I'm saying? And the dude looked over at me and said, man, don't worry. I'll take it easy on you, bro. Because of my size. Now, listen. At the time, I was, let's just say 200 pounds. I am 5'7.5". 5'8" with shoes on. I'm short. He's got me by 100 pounds. Give or take a little bit. So, they kind of rubbed me the wrong way when he said that. And I was young. I was 23. So, we get in the ring, and we started out light and moderate. And once I seen his inexperience, I kind of picked it up a little bit. And it got a little heated in there. It got a little heated. Long story short, I took his lunch money. Point blank. And I don't say that with arrogance. I was supposed to. I had experience on him. Ring generalship. He was physically strong enough to keep me off of him, but he did not know how. He didn't know how. He couldn't deal with angles. He could not deal with angles. I would go in at angles and come out at angles. And I would only stay a certain amount of time on the inside, and then I would get out. I never hurt him, mind you, because he was so big, and it actually hurt me to hit him. Honestly, it was like I was hitting a brick wall. But he got his butt kicked. Did his size matter in that? No. Same thing in a ring, professional or amateur. Okay? Some people just have it here and here. So size doesn't always matter. So we're going to take that out of the equation. It doesn't matter. And there is a such thing as having different eras in boxing. some boxers today, no matter what weight class, aren't cut from the same cloth as boxers back in the day. Let's just face it, it's true, right? So you take Deontay Wilder's opponents, no matter what the numbers are. Let's just say you're right. Let's just say the numbers are right. Deontay Wilder's opponents had better records. Records can be very deceiving. Do you know of a guy by the name of Emmanuel Augustus? Do you know how many losses he has on his record? Ask Floyd Mayweather Jr. today. Ask Money Mayweather today who was his hardest fight ever. You know what he'll tell you? Emmanuel Augustus. So we're going to take that out of the equation. See, we're talking people who know boxing, like who's strapped up before. I don't know if this person's strapped up before. It's going to be a long video. So we're going to take that from that perspective. All right? So records can be deceiving, right? Plus, this is a new era of heavyweights. Now, we're talking when Mike Tyson was coming up. So if we were to take Deontay Wilder's opponents and match them up with Mike Tyson's opponents and let them have a tournament, I guarantee you the opponents of Mike Tyson's will wipe the floor of Deontay Wilder's. Point blank, period. I don't care. And then he says that Mike Tyson, no, they say that Deontay Wilder's opponents were bigger and taller. A lot of them were bigger and taller. Well, you know how tall Mike Tyson is? He's 5'11", if that. 5'11". Majority of his opponents were heavier than him and taller. I said majority. I didn't say all, so don't get it twisted. I'll take Tony Tucker, the guy that Mike Tyson took the IBF heavyweight crown from. Let's take Tony Tucker. With the exception of Tyson Fury, Tony Tucker will wipe the floor with all Deontay Wilder's opponents. And, okay, I'll say 50-50 with Luis Ortiz. 50-50, with the exception of those two, Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury. Tony Tucker will wipe the floor with Deontay Wilder's opponents. Bone Crusher Smith will wipe the floor, with the exception of those two, with Deontay Wilder's opponents. Tyrell Biggs, same thing. Buster Douglas, definitely. And I'm going to say with the exception of Tyson Fury, because Luis Ortiz wouldn't beat a prime, in shape, ready to fight, ready to go Buster Douglas. I can tell you that right now. Razor Ruddock, same thing, with the exception of those two. Maybe those two. All the time Tyson Fury, but maybe those two. So here's what I'm saying. Fighters are cut from a different cloth when they're from a different era. Numbers don't make a dang. Not in this case. Numbers don't matter. Who has a better record, this and that, so what? Who have they fought? Deontay Wilder's opponents would not last against Mike Tyson's opponents. But here's the question I want answered. Here's the $1 million question right here. This is the question that really matters to me the most. Because all the other stuff doesn't matter. Bigger, taller opponents, better records. I don't care about that. If your numbers are true, let's just say your numbers are true. I still don't care about that. There's one question I want you to answer. A prime Mike Tyson versus a prime Deontay Wilder. Who wins? Respect all, fair, now, God bless. Easy.